Welcome back. I fucking really hurt my back skiing, and that's what I usually do every day. And like now this is day 3 that I didn't get to ski, and I'm like, shit, I need to be fucking useful. So I'm coming out with this video, and it's been like a year probably since I had a video drop. Just because the market's been so unpredictable. If anything, I do this to like help me go over the things that I already have learned. And I also take a lot of breaks, so it's been quite a while. And I just jumped back in about a week ago, and I'm trading this channel, Madapes Gambles, which I've been in forever. Like, I've been in this channel for years, but I just never really paid much attention to it. But I decided to do a deep dive on it and start trading what it's calling, and things are working out quite nicely. So I think this is what I'm going to stick to for a while, and I'm going to do a little series about it, I guess. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, as you can see, here's the Madapes channel. So if anybody wants to follow this series and kind of trade with me, this is the channel I'm going to be using, okay, on Telegram. And the rule is, so I'm only jumping in tokens that it calls. And apologies, I suck at talking because I'm an introvert, autistic person. So bear with me. That's another reason I do these, by the way. It helps me talk. But yeah, so this channel here, make sure if you're gonna join it, make sure you're joining this here. See the name, mad_apes_gambles, okay? Because there's gonna be a bunch of other channels probably that are scams. Maybe not, I don't know, but just always check the name, the handle of the Telegram group, okay? Because like scam ones might just have one letter different or something. Yeah, these guys, their charts kind of have like a, from what I've seen, it's like kind of like 80-90% hit rate that they all kind of perform. And like the ones that don't perform right away and like kind of hit really low bottoms, they usually bounce back too, unless they shill like a straight rug, which they do once in a while, but it's not often. Like today I got hit with one, but the other one I got hit with was maybe the first day I was doing this. So like I went like 7 days without hitting a rug, like literally. And I bought into every single Solana token that they shilled, that they called, every single one. So that was one of my rules too, like gotta catch them all. And yeah, just as an experiment, right? I'm always trying new strategies, but like it seems like that they do very good due diligence. And I also believe that there's just a lot of quality traders in this group, because there's 107,000 people in this group, right? And I think the traders in this group kind of have faith in each other in a sense, because when I see these charts hit bottoms, they always bounce back. And like, that's not a guarantee, obviously. I haven't gone through every single chart they've ever called, right? They've been around for years, but in the last week, I've noticed a lot that bounce back, right? A lot of the time when these charts hit these bottoms that you see over at Pump Fund, usually when you see these bottoms, a lot of them don't recover. Like 90% of them don't recover. And they're just forgotten, right? But when you see these bottoms on these newly launched Pump Fund tokens, also Pump Fund, but they're just being called through the Mad Apes group, most of them bounce violently and like recover extremely well. Like for example, here's this one here. Yeah, this is Cage. This was launched literally 2 days ago. Okay, it went all the way up to 60K on launch, dropped down to 8K, went up to 37, came down to 11 again. Like usually after that second bounce there, when it's back at 11, like that's where most people would just get on out of there, right? Especially with what you see on Pump Fund. But because this is from Mad Apes, and the traders in the group kind of are working together here and got faith in each other to support these charts, people buy back in, and it went up to 40,000, and then it came down to 18,000, on this little trend line here, right? Oh, look, it's still on that trend line. And then it went from 18,000, bam, to 170,000 in a matter of, 4 hours. Okay, so 4 hours and bam, a huge 10x, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like a lot of these freshly launched tokens on Madapes perform, even if they go down to zero, because they have this like call history in this group. It's like once they're tagged in this group, it's like they're like bumped up a level from pump fun, you know? It's like, okay, this thing's not gonna stay at zero anymore if it goes to zero. So a lot of people like know that, and then they choose to get into those charts. And if you were to find a bottom chart like this from Madapes and you're still a little on the fence about jumping in, look for things like bullish divergence and bullish patterns. Okay, like right here, this here is a rising triangle, an ascending triangle, where it has a perfect resistance level. So it's not like a falling wedge where it's angled, it's flat. And then those breakouts are usually the height of the triangle. So one, it's making this bullish pattern. So that would be a good confirmation that this bottom, if you found it at like 20K, would be nice to get into. And then this also here shows a really big bullish divergence. See how it's opposite? The momentum is opposite of the actual price action. So that means like it's getting ready to blow up. And that's something, if you spotted that when this was at 20K, would be a good sign of buy in. And like that's maybe when you bend your rules just a little bit and add a fourth buy instead of like just 3, or maybe you do 0.1 SOL instead of 0.05 SOL, as long as you don't make it a habit that you do all the time. So that's interesting, considering all the tokens that are coming out every day on Pump Fun, right? Like 90 whatever % of them don't bounce back, right? And when I say bounce back, I mean like they get a solid bounce. Like there's volume that comes in, right? Instead of just one little last pump, it's not like that. They usually bounce back and then reverse, and they actually go on another rip. So this group has quality traders in it. I can tell because of that, and a lot of them use limit orders too. So like a lot of the times when these tokens hit bottoms, they bounce back quickly because these traders have set orders down there. So yeah, I'm really digging Madapes. So I'm just going to stick with them for now, because right now I want to actively trade. Whereas I was taking a break and I was just holding my positions, which was kind of dumb. Like I literally lost 30 grand by doing that. I mean, only because I sold and I'm now trading with that money, but I literally had my position, my like trencher position was at like 30,000, and then now it's down, it was down to like nothing, like 1,800 or 2,000, right after I forgot about it for, I don't know, since the summer, and it's December now. So me being me, I was just like, I can't just like let that sit there. Like who knows, it might pump very soon and I'm going to be annoyed at myself, but at the same time I'm using this money now to learn this new strategy that I'm sharing with you guys that's working out very nicely. So I'm just being honest. I've had some significant losses. That's not even a bad one. And that was all profit anyways. But I've learned if I have like a couple $1,000, I can always build it back up pretty quickly. So it's just not going under for me. And when I see it that low, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try something new, or I'm going to jump back in and trade how I used to or whatever. But honestly, I was getting burned too much just trading Pump Fun. So that's kind of why I just stopped and I just let my positions stay. And yeah, they melted away. But that's normal. That gave me the motivation to jump back in and do this now. So if my positions didn't disintegrate, I wouldn't be here making this video, because I wouldn't be trading the Madapes calls. Alright, enough of that. Okay, so this is the group. Check it out. So they post their calls every day. There's tons of them, right? And a lot of them are updates. So like when you see them say like 15x, that's 15x since they called it, right? And like they usually reply to the original call. Yeah, here's the original call, which was today. So it's like that thing did a 15x today. And honestly, yeah, most of them, like I said, they go. You just got to be patient and have a system, right? And I'm going to show you my system here. And they're all like very low cap, like a lot are sub 100. Here's a couple of my rules though, okay? So for this next trading journey that I'm embarking on is going to be only Madapes calls, okay? I'm only going to trade Madapes calls. Never going to FOMO, so I'm not going to just jump in a chart because they say, unless it's the 0.05 sold, because sometimes they do just rip right away. So, but I never can FOMO like a huge position, you know? So it's always a little bit I'll allow in, but if I see a better opportunity, it's better to use a limit order. So always use limit orders. And only 0.05 sold per transaction, and that's just based on my portfolio size right now, starting with like $2,000. If I had like 100 grand I was starting with, I'd probably increase that size. So you just want to be adjusting based on what you're comfortable with. Always average down. So let's say I buy in right away when Madapes does a call, and then I'll look for levels to buy in lower. But I only allow 3 max buys. I mean, I'll show you, I've done more before, but like the reason I have now a rule of 3 is because the wallets that got burned are the ones where I bought down more than 3, right? And I also bought down more than 0.05 sold. So it's like these are just based off the data I've already collected in the last week, and I've jumped in like maybe 100 different ones. So a lot. I don't know if it's 100, maybe 50 to 100, but a lot. Yeah, so only 3 buys down, and if it's 0.05 sold, that means you're risking 0.15 sold total on that position, right? And if it rips to like 100x one day, like you're gonna be making money off that, right? Even though it doesn't sound like a lot, but the idea is to get as many positions as you can with as little money as you can, so you can see what happens and like use that as data to build your strategy around. And the thing about Madapes is, like I said, like most of them aren't rugs, okay? And most of them go. So it's like, it feels safe too. Like if you did this with like out a group like Madapes, you would just come back to destroyed wallets because they all rug. So, or they slow rug, where it's hard to tell that it's a rug until you realize it's all fucking gone. Right? So like I said, they're rare with Madapes, but still it can happen, and it only takes one really bad rug of like a big position to really screw up your portfolio, right? So having these safeguards in place is like what's going to keep you safe in the game. Okay, so only 3 buys max. And buy down. I'm going to show you levels and how I find my buy down targets in a bit here. Auto sells. So always have an auto sell schedule set. Yeah, so use Trojan bot. Okay, take profit levels. See here, when it pumps 50%, I sell 20% of the position. When it pumps 75%, I sell another 20%. At 130%, I sell 10%. 175%, I sell 10%. So I'm recouping my initial really quickly on these because I'm still early on in the strategy, and I'm treating them all as extremely high risk, right? But I'm pretty much, majority of them, I'm getting my initial back fairly quickly. I've been adjusting these numbers like every few days. But yeah, once this is set, you basically assign a wallet to it, and then when whatever you buy in that wallet, it'll auto set those limit orders. So all the way up to 9,000%. So that's what, a 90x or close to 100x, right? and that's, I'll sell 2% of the wallet. I think this is set to sell like 98% of the entire wallet and leaves 2% moon bag, and that's like after up to 100x, right? So that, you just set it and forget it. Like, that's the beauty of this. Once you find the entries and you know you have some safe charts, you just gotta set it and forget it. And like, the best thing you can do is actually like forget it, right? And like, that's the beauty of it. No stress, no watching charts, blah blah blah. But if you want to get really optimal and precise with it, just do it kind of how I'm doing it, and I'll show you going forward here what that's all about. Okay, here's my next rule: never cancel orders. So moon or dust. Okay, and that's just to like keep discipline locked in, right? And I said earlier, like, some of these charts that go to like bottoms, they recover, they bounce like crazy. Like, some bounce like crazy from like 5K market cap, you know? So, and a lot of them do that, especially in this group, because there's a lot of good traders and they have faith in the group to recover the token. It seems like that's the vibe I'm getting from these. And now I'm starting to feel that confidence in them. So I'll find bottoms easily and throw stuff in. Use confirmations for entries is the next rule. So like wedges, patterns, support, resistance, fair value gaps, RSIs. Look for bearish confirmations. Compare with bullish confirmations. And then be process dependent and not outcome dependent. So the second I am thinking from a place of like stress or fear or needing to make money, that's when I just need to stop and walk away and come back another day, like literally, just to protect the portfolio. And being process dependent, basically just following all the rules and being patient. I think this is the hardest part for most people. So like in the first 1 to 5 days, you can expect a lot of your initials to be recovered. Okay, so the first few orders, sell orders, are triggered in like 1 to 5 days, and then 5 to 14 days, you can expect to see a lot of things breaking even or going into profit. And then 14 to 60 days, you see real gains then, like some are going to be doing like 50x's, you know what I mean? And also go touch grass when you have your wallets popping off, right? You don't want that euphoria to like get a hold of you and like mess things up, which has happened to me so many times. So I'm only speaking from experience. And this is what you can kind of expect from what I've seen so far. Okay, and like that's when I'm finding entries. Like, I've been reckless on some of them, but when I'm finding my entries and I'm sticking to my rules, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I obviously haven't been in it for more than 7 days, but I can see this is what is likely going to be happening, as I'm already starting to break even in a lot of. But yeah, like I said, most of them perform. You just got to be patient and have your system in place. And to have a sustainable system, you have to use something like Trojan. And I still use Trojan over like Axiom or whatever other people have been using, just because it works and it's fast and it's cheap. I think they take like 1% per transaction. I don't even notice really, because whereas I've used other platforms and I've definitely noticed like it hurts. The fees can hurt. So Trojan on Solana doesn't necessarily hurt the wallet. And also there's tons of scam Trojan bots, so literally you need to make sure it's exactly looking like this, okay, that username. Okay, so I might as well now go over some of these charts. Okay, this is higher. Yeah, I got in this earlier today, like I think way down here. I just put a little bit in though. Let's see, I can see where mine has been triggered. See, these are all my limit orders that have triggered in the past few days. Like today, I think there was like like 30 or something. Yesterday there was like 60. The day before there was like 170 triggered. It was crazy. My phone was just going bang, bang, bang all day. Felt really good, obviously, because you know that those are your positions selling like crazy. And I think it's just Christmas tomorrow, so I think things have slowed down a bit tonight and yesterday, which makes sense. Like, I should be at my family's right now, but I didn't go because I hurt my back so bad. But I'm gonna try to go tomorrow. But yeah, look at all these triggering. So once you set up your auto sell, like this is still all from today too. Once you set up your auto sell menu and your wallets have limit orders set for buy-ins, like your system is basically just set up for an autopilot type situation, and it's going to be triggering for days, for probably a couple weeks, up to a month or two, you know, until it clears all of these. Yeah, like it's been wild. So I'm digging that, and like I'm liking the strategy because like I need constant dopamine hits, so that kind of works. Whereas if it's a position I gotta hold for a long time, it just gets harder and harder for me to hold it, you know, because I like action, and that's just my fucking brain. I'm just being honest. So that's why I like this system, okay? Because like these are little chunks of little positions that are constantly being sold, and they're constantly entering my wallet, multiple per hour, all day, every day, and it's nice. And then I use that, the little chunks that come through, I use that then to buy into the new positions that the Madapes groups post about. So all the money's just rotating into new positions, and it's tiny amounts. Sure, it's like $7 a position, and it costs 17 cents for a transaction, right? So you still can make profit, no problem. So it's not like back in the day on Ethereum when you have to pay like $30 for a transaction. That's what I like about this too. You can do very small orders, and like they compound. So if you got like 200 orders coming in a day and each one is like $3, it's like $600 right there, right? And my plan is to just not miss any post for Solana that Madapes makes, because they're proven to be pretty quality. And I can see how this will play out if I stick to the system, right? All right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this chart. So how would I get in this chart? Like I said, I got faith in this group, so I would maybe even toss in a 0.05 sold just right here if I just found this, which I would show you how to do here. You go to your Solana bot. Let's see if I got money in this wallet. Yeah, I got a little bit. You enter the address and then adjust your thing to 0.05 and then press swap. And then from there, I would set 2 more limit order buys below that for the same amount, but you want to put them at the right levels, right? So how do you find the right levels? Well, first I mark all the support and resistance zones. All right, and then I next mark the patterns, okay? This is something I don't really see, like almost nobody does this. I see in crypto. I don't know why. Maybe it's just how my brain works and I just like patterns. But there's shapes to the price action, right? There's shapes that tell you what's gonna happen. Like a falling wedge, like something like 86% of the time, don't quote me on that, but from my experience, that's about correct. It will break to the upside, the height of the widest part of it. So if the widest part of the wedge is like this much, its breakout target is going to be the same height as that. And you can see it's almost exactly the same height right here, okay? See, that's where it broke out to. I'll make that a green, right? And that's how I measured this to get that height. And then it's good to look at other time frames too sometimes. And a lot of the time I will not include the wicks into the shape unless you notice a lot of the wicks are lining up perfectly with it. So, but I'll always try to just keep it as a candle at first. Okay, so that falling wedge would have told me that a breakout was coming. So those are the things I look for. And then I look for entries based on support zones. So if I saw this falling wedge earlier, I would look for this support too, and then I would say, okay, this lines up with the falling wedge trend line. And it's a support, and if we're breaking this support, it's a good sign we're going to come down and hit this support. So I would set a limit order right here. Okay, because one, it's on the trend line of the wedge, and two, it's at a support zone. Also, another pattern here why this upper part of the wedge didn't work out. See how there's a falling wedge here? There's, I forget what the pattern is called. I think maybe it's like 3 falling valleys, but if there's 3 lower lows in a row like this, without like chop in the middle, and it's just like perfect falling waterfall 3 in a row, then it's gonna drop the height of it. Like that's just price action, which is crazy. So the height of this here should be the same as right down here. Okay, so it didn't go as low, but that's what happened here. There's 3 falling valleys, and then boom, it dropped. So it's tricky because when you see a falling wedge, you might think that's super bullish, and then all of a sudden it drops like that. So you just got to make sure you really look at it and see what's going on. When you have these like perfect lower lows like that every time, and they're very consistently, and they're like perfectly shaped, then you can expect some drops. But that drop, it just formed a bigger wedge really, right? So as long as it stays in the structure of a wedge, you can call it bullish. You just want it to hit as many candle heads as possible. But yeah, this would have been the bearish one. I'd go like this, and then that would cause a drop, which is what happened. Eventually you just get used to seeing these patterns, and like you don't have to, you just know them, right? So the more you just look at charts and stuff, the more you'll hold on to it. It's not like you need to study them and memorize them, because eventually you'll just know them all. You can look them up though, like that's what I do often, or I used to. Okay, so here's a rising wedge, right? Here's an example of what I would maybe do. So rising wedge always usually drops the height of it, okay? Like the opposite of falling wedge. And usually it'll try to make that higher high again. So this might do something like come down to this trend line and then pump again here, and then ride the trend line, and then it might drop, right? But if it does 3 perfect rising valleys, then it might have a upwards breakout, right? So those are 2 scenarios you got to look for. A lot of things to look for, right? So how do you know if it's going to go break upwards or break downwards? Well, most of the time rising wedges break downwards. But if the RSI is showing a bullish divergence, then maybe it'll break upwards. You got to have 3 perfectly higher highs or higher lows. 1, 2, 3. I see 3 there. And this could maybe be a 3rd one too, or a 4th one. But like if one of the lows breaks down lower than the one before, then it invalidates this upwards breakout. And then this would likely happen here. All right, so bullish divergence. I don't see a short-term one. But on the 15-minute, I'm going to remove that for a sec. On the 15-minute chart, we might have a bullish divergence. We do here. See, this is going down. And then here, this is going up. See, so this higher low here is above this low. Obviously, because that's the price. That's where the price went. But here on the RSI, which is measuring the momentum, this low is actually higher than this low, which is the opposite of over here. So that's a bullish divergence, which tells me this is bullish on the 15-minute time frame. So it might not be bullish in the next 5 minutes, but it might be bullish in 15 minutes or half an hour from now, right? So, or an hour, I don't know, or two, you don't really know. 15 minutes though is definitely not what's going to happen in the next 1 to 5 minutes, I'll tell you that. So it could break down, but I'm not sure. It's not even showing a bearish divergence either. So this is where you would just maybe jump in here with your 0.05 SOL and then set limit orders, like maybe one down here at 200 and then one at 150, and then maybe no more, because that would break the 3 rule. But if you really wanted to add another one, maybe do it super low down here, 55K. That's like the first support. And how do you know to like feel okay with doing that, right? What if you wanted to do 4 buy downs here to 57K? That's a little nerve-wracking, right? But if you're doing 0.05 SOL, it's not that much. It's like $6 each. So total, you're putting down like $24 on this position if you do something like that. And if you got like $2,000 to start with, that's nothing. That's like 1%, right? Which is like how much you should always risk if you want to do things properly, like a real trader. So yeah, so let's just say you want to do 4 buy downs, okay? How do you know this is the chart to do it and like it's not gonna burn you real bad? Because I'll show you. I'll show you in a bit. I have positions that I thought were like the one, and then I got burned. You'll never really know, but a good way to start to know is maybe check the volume, right? See how much volume there is. 2 million in 24 hours is pretty good considering the market conditions right now. And make sure it's not like fake volume and it's not market making bots or whatever. So there's no way to fully tell, but I always make sure that the makers versus holders is reasonable. This could be pretty reasonable. Like this could be mostly organic. There could be some bots in here trading. And when I say bots, not like the bots I use. These are volume bots to like trick people into buying in because they see the volume, which isn't always the case. Sometimes they just use it to like get the coin going too. So it's not always ill intent when you see these volume bots. But you got to be careful because sometimes they are used for that ill intent, and all of a sudden the volume just gets turned off and the whole thing just tanks, right? So like if you see a coin that has like 500 holders and there's like 10,000 makers, that's a red flag in my opinion. But those can still rip. So you just gotta be careful and use your intuition on that. But this is 4,000 makers, 1,000 holders. I think it's okay. I'd probably jump in this, to be honest. I put in a 0.5 SOL right now, and then I'd set these limit orders. which I'll just do that right now just to show you. Okay, so I get the address, put it in Trojan. 0.5 SOL. I'm gonna buy in now. Okay. And then see that buy success here. That is my auto sell menu, right? So I bought once and it set all those sales for me automatically, so I don't have to worry about it, right? And now I'm gonna set 2 more buy downs, okay, based on the levels that I have here. And if they don't hit, whatever, they don't hit, I still got a position in, right? Madapes puts out like 10 a day, so there's always another one. Okay, so I'm gonna put 2 buy-ins, one at 150K, one at 200K. So I go limit order, trigger price, 200K MCAP. Oh my gosh. Okay, it just lagged on me. Trigger price. $200K MCAP. Okay, that's how you enter the prices in Trojan. Or like, there's many ways to do it, but that's how I do it. 200K MCAP. If it's million, you go 200 M space MCAP. Or you can go like minus 25%, right? That's also a good way. If you're going to be doing this a lot, you can also have like set numbers in your head or written down, obviously. Like every buy-in, you do like minus a buy-in at like minus 30% and then another one at minus 70 or something. But here I'm going to do 200K because that's a level that we spotted. Oh my gosh, this keeps happening. Hold on. Okay, 200K MCAP, limit order, and then I create order. Okay, and now that's set. The only way to clear these orders, if you want to clear all the orders for one position, you need to just sell off the whole position and then it'll cancel all the orders. But if you just sell off a bit of the position, it doesn't cancel the orders that it's set for that. So that's the annoying thing about canceling, which I don't think is that annoying because it's almost like a punishment for doing it, because like the rule is don't cancel your orders, moon or dust, right? But yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna now set another limit order. This one is at 150K MCAP, right? And I always have an expiry of like 100 days for these. And then the sells, I would set like 1,000 days, just so they never expire. Create order. Okay, so now I'm set up to jump in higher. Okay, I'll show you another good one to jump in here. Or, I mean, I'll show you another chart. Let's just see how I look at charts. Okay, I haven't bought into this one. So let's see what it is. Oh yeah, and it's usually a good idea to change the chart to logarithmic, because then it shows you a more accurate movement of the price, especially when you're like doing patterns. But I mean, the other way works well too, but some patterns like bull flags and stuff aren't accurate from what I've found. Okay, so as you can see what I'm doing, immediately I'm marking up this wedge here. So if this wedge did break down, which There's a good chance it will, because that's what happens. You'll start to see the price ride this trend line here, literally about to just fall off it, and then bam, it'll fall off. And you can see the height of it. It's got to be measured this way, vertically like this, top trend line to bottom trend line in the widest part. And then from right where it drops off to where it hits. And you can see, look, it hits literally right where the support level is. So that's what's so cool about price action. It has a consistent way of moving. And yeah, once you see enough of it, like, you realize that they have predictable patterns. So this, good chance it's going to ride it and then drop, and then we're going to come down to the 3.7 mil support line. So if you're super FOMO-y right now, you could throw in the 0.05 SOL on this chart and then set some buy downs to 3.7 mil and maybe farther down. We'll look in a second. Or I would probably hold off and set a limit order down here. Maybe even one here if I really want to get in this one at this support resistance line. Because if it's a super bullish chart, it doesn't always drop all the way down to the breakdown target. So it can break structure and only go like halfway down and then recover. Like, it can do that. But a lot of the time, most of the time, it hits the breakdown target. So another thing you want to check, RSI. Right, look at this. So here we got a bullish divergence. See, this is going down and then this is going up. So that kind of makes me question if this wedge will break down, right? So if the bullish divergence was very like prominent, which, I mean, it's there, it's evident, then maybe I would buy in like a 0.5 SOL here and then set the buys down to here, just because there's a bullish divergence. But if there wasn't a bullish divergence, I probably wouldn't buy in anything right here, and I would only have buy downs. And like, this is showing a bullish divergence, so this could do one of these, a big ol' bull flag to the upper trend line. To like 8 mil. So like, that could be a target too. Yeah, to like 7.9 mil. So that's a possibility. And then from there, it could break down. Whoops. And then from there, it could break, the wedge could finally break down too, right? So, or it could just exponentially blow up. But in this situation, yeah, I would probably buy in 0.05, and then I'd have a buy down to here, buy down to here. And if I really wanted to scoop up a fourth buy-in, where would I do it? See, that's when I zoom out a bit and look at where we actually are. So I'm going to remove these for now. So what do we got here? We got a big old falling wedge, which broke out as expected. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the top of a breakout. So if I just zoomed out, that's what I noticed, right? Earlier, I didn't really notice that we were at the top of a big breakout like that. So when there's a big old breakout like that, a lot of the time, it'll come back down and retest too. You can see this also was a big falling wedge that broke down, which kind of caused the current structure. And you can see we're actually also pretty close to the all-time high, which is 13.7 mil. You can also see volume increasing here, so that's a good sign. And after an all-time high, price on good charts, price usually tries to climb back up there for a second touch or to break past it at least. So that could happen also. So all these things to keep in mind. So that said too, like that's maybe a good reason I jump in now too, and then have your buy down targets. And then you could even, if you wanted custom sell targets to just get out up here, you can. But I like to use the auto sell schedule, because then it leaves all the stress and like live trading out of the mix, which I've learned over the years is not sustainable. So having a system, using the system is like, for me, the only sustainable way to have consistent gains. Or having multiple systems, like, and rotating through them. You can even see here we got another pattern. So there's all sorts of patterns. See, like this is a double bottom here, which actually played out. So it always breaks out the height of where it meets at the top and bottom, right? So if that's what it does, that would tell me that we're not even at the top of the breakout target for that. So it could go a little higher just because of that. And then also this is like a reverse cup and handle, which could turn into something like that. And those break out the height of the lower part, right? Which would take you all the way up to the all-time high. So we have a couple patterns indicating this might make a push back up to the all-time high very soon here. See it, like there's so many things you can see in a chart. But yeah, again, all these things are telling me put in a small position now and set some buy downs. And like I said, I'm doing 0.05 sold per position. Like in this, like old me would see this chart and like see all these signs saying like, oh, it's gonna go to all-time high. Oh, it's gonna like pump, you know, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, because I see the reverse cup and handle, I see the double bottom, I see the falling wedge, I see the bullish divergence, all those things. But that's when you got to be careful, because that's when you're like, this is a very quality coin and you get high conviction in it, and then you put more in and you start to break your rules, right? And then that's when you get burned. Every single token that I've broken the rules on, not every single one, but most of them, I got burned on, and I put in way too much, right? So it's always that overconfidence and that over conviction that is the sneaky killer. So when you start seeing all these good signs on the chart and you feel like you want to put more in, that's a good sign to not put more in. So when you feel like putting more in, usually it means don't put more in. Because it'll break discipline and create bad habits, really. Even if it would have won, even if this thing would have pumped way more, right? Like, that's not the point. Because if you're thinking like that, that's outcome dependent again, right? So you're not being process dependent. And like, if you're being process dependent, you know you can't put more in. You just can't, because that's like going against the process, okay? And ultimately, sticking to the process over a period of time creates consistent gains. And that's sustainable. It's fucking science, you know? Whoa.